The business of medicine is constantly changing. The review by Resolve discusses current contract issues for physicians, compensation trends, and tips for a successful career. Every physician's contract and career is different, and nothing in this episode should be considered legal advice. If you have specific questions about your career, please consult with an attorney. Now, on to the show.
Welcome back to the review. We're here today with Zach Beare, another health law attorney with Resolve. We are going to talk for a few minutes today on contract negotiations and some big wins, right? Some stories on, how negotiations go, how, good outcomes, one, happen, and then two, kind of what some examples are of those good outcomes. So I guess I want to start with just from a shock and awe factor, maybe. Yeah. What's some of the bigger wins that you've seen clients get through negotiating their contract?
Yeah, from a numbers standpoint, I would say anywhere from $250,000 to maybe $350,000
per year.
Yeah, per year.
Okay.
Where maybe that's factoring in the signing bonus jumping up, $50K as well, but yeah, somewhere $200 to $300K per year. Okay,
so that's a pretty good return on your investment for reviewing and negotiating your contract. So, I mean, those are obviously outliers, right?
Yeah.
But how does that happen? I mean, how can an employer come in with that much room to negotiate?
Yeah, I think it's obviously a higher paid specialty.
Sure.
And I think they just kind of throw out a lowball offer and hope the client just accepts.
Yeah.
And then, you provide them with data and say, well, here's the median for my specialty and you're, $200,000 off.
Yeah.
If they really want that physician to go work there, I think there's going to be some movement.
Do you think, we talked to a lot of residents and fellows, people coming out of training where they're earning, $50,000 to $60,000 a year, and there's obviously a huge jump, right, in disposable income that happens. And so do you think employers are saying, well, we can offer, $300,000 because it's so much higher than what they're earning in training, even though the median is $600, right? Let's say for ortho or IR or something like that.
Yeah, I definitely think there might be some of that in play where they're trying to take advantage of, the jump from residency or fellowship to being an attending and the number difference there. I think, yes, you're going to make more, but you should also be fairly compensated.
Yeah. Is compensation something that almost every client wants to push on?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
I think it's a bigger item of conversation for us since we do have the data and the knowledge with certain employers and just reviewing thousands of contracts.
Yeah, right.
We have that expertise, but I don't know if it's always the most important item. I think we always at least talk about it and touch on it, but some clients are less concerned about that and want more flexibility and freedom with their schedule.
Yeah, so let's maybe talk about, big jumps in comp are fun, right? I mean, the client wins on that. We're excited about that too. But other big wins maybe in other areas, like you just mentioned, scheduling. What are some things that come up in that area that are wins for clients?
Yeah, I think one item, locations, where we want locations to be mutually agreed upon. And if it's not, the employer could send you to another hospital, send you to another clinic without you agreeing to it.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's a 30, 45-minute drive from your house, that's going to add up over time. And it's going to be quite a burden for many years to come if that hadn't been talked about and you have no control over that. So I actually had a story where we pushed back on mutual agreement for locations and got that snuck in to the contract.
Yeah.
And a week and a half into my client's employment, they tried switching the practice location. Okay. And luckily, we had that protection within the contract, so it had to be agreed upon by that client, and it made a big difference. My client was very thankful for that small language just mutually agreed upon.
Yeah. I mean, it's very common now for, health systems, academic centers, even private practices to have kind of this sprawl, right, of multiple locations over a metro area, or even in rural areas, right? We see systems that have 10, 15, 20, right, different locations. And so if you're in a specialty that, maybe is a specialty that can travel, right, and go to different spots, I can see where that would be really important. Nobody wants to commute an hour away twice a week, right, to a different location. How about termination issues and clients that come in with, hey, this isn't working out, I've got to leave. Any big success stories come to your mind there on exits?
I mean, obviously, non-competes is a big one.
Sure.
Where if you can just get the non-compete removed from the contract,
Mhm.
obviously that's a huge win. Where I have seen clients kind of stand their ground and say, "I'm not going to sign an employment agreement with a non-compete included," and if the employer wants them bad enough, they might cave and just get rid of it.
Sure.
Where it gives them the opportunity to transition pretty freely
Yeah.
after employment. So obviously, that's a big item. I've seen employers include restrictions on termination where maybe there's a 2 to 3 year lock-in period,
Okay.
and if the client signs up and agrees to that provision, they can't terminate within the first few
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
And what if it's not the right fit, or you have a family circumstance that makes you want to terminate or need to terminate?
Yeah.
It makes it quite a bit more difficult. So just removing that lock-in period or removing any provisions that
Sure.
just restrict your ability to terminate.
Giving
the
them
agreement.
flexibility, right?
Yeah.
To kind of be that free agent. I know we have some clients that come into us after the fact, right? And they'll come in and say, "Hey, I signed this 4 years ago, right? Now there's this either breach of contract situation or I've got to get into a separation agreement."
Yep.
What do those outcomes look like? Any big wins in that area?
Yeah, I've had a separation agreement that's been $300,000 where it's been a settlement for
Payment to the client.
payment to the
Okay,
client
on the way
where they actually got what they thought they were entitled to from a bonus standpoint, where they felt like the employer had been holding out on bonus checks and
really?
not paying the proper amount. So they ended up terminating the agreement, and we came to a separation agreement where
Sure.
they got a large check made out to them
Yeah.
just because the employer didn't want to go to litigation and wanted to settle. So
Recouping what they should have been paid anyway,
Yeah.
right? So it's just to kind of get me back to what the contract said it should.
Yep.
Yeah, great. Well, I think, I guess I'd close with this then. Sometimes clients are concerned on negotiating, right? They're a little risk averse. I think everything I'm hearing from you is there's some big wins out there of going through that process and asking for what you need. Any takeaways or any thoughts on how to negotiate, what they should be looking for in that area?
Yeah, I think just getting an attorney involved, having someone look over the terms, and if there are any major red flags, we'll obviously relay that to you and say this is something you should probably fight for, and something that we either want removed or added to the contract, because it would be nice to have that protection, and you're gonna be thankful that it's in there in the future.
Perfect. Well, Zach, thanks for coming on and talking about some big wins. We'll have you on again.
Yeah, thank you.